we know there's improper ventilation because the attic was filled with mold.
Let's take a look in there.
You want to get in the attic?
Is that that hole that big and I'm this big?
Where's Steve?
Steve's bigger than me now. What do you...
Is this enough access for you, bud?
Holy crap. Was that bad, eh?
Yeah, it was that bad. So we need to get up there and just sort of check the vents, make sure, but it's guaranteed they're probably not.
Like, you look at this, right? These vents are designed for a proper size hole.
Yeah.
Right? Well, that one's small. This one here is not even 1/3 of the size.
Oh my God.
Because they're on a beam. That looks like it's been whacked with a hammer. It sends up red flags that we want to do a really thorough roof inspection.
Right.
Because when you see stuff like that, that's red flags. Mm-hmm. If they're doing stuff like that, what else they do?
So the existing issue with the attic on this home was that it wasn't vented properly, both with the roof vents as well as the soffits not being open enough with the plywood coverings, as well as the attic insulation, which was blown in and filling most of the openings. So what we're doing here is we're going to cut large openings around the perimeter of the house to allow the cooler, fresh air into the attic, correcting the soffits, the roof vents, and the attic insulation with proper baffles is going to really get the airflow going in this attic.
That's the hole you went through.
Yeah, me and Andrew.
I want videotape. I don't believe this. And blown in insulation in the attic. But before I do that, I have to run all my new vents through the roof. So I need Steve Graves from Better Contracting back.
So this is one of the vents we saw from the attic that they cut about a 1-inch hole. The basic size of the hole should follow sort of this dimension of the vent. What we have here is not a very big hole. Now, there is a rafter here, but that doesn't really come into play when you cut the vent a proper size, so it's just sort of ridiculous.
Cellulose. Rob's guys came in and put in new downspouts, eavesdrops, the smart screen, and Steve put in new roof vents with the proper size openings. Then they cut holes in the soffits so that we had the proper amount of ventilation in the attic. Now we know the house breeze. Now we know the attic breeze, bringing in soffit venting, everything that was necessary that this house did not have, and it should have been in the report as far as I'm concerned, the breathability.
Just, it feels livable. I mean, you could feel it. Standing here, I'm in a different house right now. It's literally a different house.
Take a look. How you doing, Robbie? Good to see you. I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of good people. Rob Graves. He's done well over 50 shows with me. Never, ever asked for anything. He just got in there, jumped in there, helped the people that were in trouble.
Make this roof right, it's gotta go.
But this guy never asked for anything. All he did was just get up and do it. Bring his sons in, Steve and Mike, and his whole crew, and just make things right.
What'd you find down there, Steve?
It's such a low slope, it's flat in a couple of areas.
After filming so many shows with Rob, he actually became a close personal friend of mine, fishing, having fun together. The man played hard, he worked hard, that's for sure. We're gonna miss him.
First things first, the railing's going to come down. The fact that this is holding water isn't as much of an issue as the fact that it's leaking into the garage.
Right. Well, the scupper is just a little bit high, and that's really the only reason why we have a bit of water here. Like
You're right, it really ramps up here. If you feel that, it comes up significantly right here. And I think the biggest problem is also this railing.
The problem is the wooden posts go right into the
That's
roof.
right.
So, you know, the wood's going to absorb water. It's going to run in behind. It's, you know, it's sort of a bad design in that manner.
We're not using wood anymore. There's no way. There's no way that I want anyone to do maintenance out here.
Right.
Okay, excellent. Just be careful taking off the railing. You want to leave the railing on for now? You want us to rip it off for you? What do you
Might
want
as
to
well
do?
just get it out of the way. That way we can just get all the roof right off completely. And then
Gotcha.
we'll know what we're looking at if we got to build up this perimeter.
Yeah. Well, this is exactly why we don't want to do a wood railing. It's acting like a sponge. That's why we're going aluminum on top of the flashing that's going to be here. Obviously, signs of damage on the inside indicates that there's leaks everywhere in this window. Number one, you can see it as I walked up, is this roof. The flashing was so messy. I mean, I could have done that when I was 5 years old and probably done a better job. It was absolutely ridiculous. We had gaps everywhere in it. Now look at the framing on this. Look at the gaps. That water ever gets in behind that flashing or underneath this roof, where's it gonna go? Directly into the freaking house.
First thing I noticed was the humidifier when I walked in. The humidifier.
So dominant jams on the garage door, and if you look at the bottoms, they're rotting right out. Right? So we don't want water on that. No one ever takes care of it. So if we can flash those, that'd be fantastic.
Not a problem. So far, we've got a really excellent slope in this direction towards the scupper. This is actually an asphalt primer. Any areas that we want to promote a good adhesion to masonry and wood and such, we can prime with that asphalt primer. And that way we can get our material bonded well to those areas.
What I'm trying to do here is...
This is a roofing underlayment. It's a waterproof membrane that we put on as an underlayment under other roofing materials, which in this case will be aluminum. Typically, flashings, chimneys, valley areas, they're the problem areas on a roof. And when you're using a waterproof underlayment, you lessen the risk of potential water infiltration through the roof. These roofs can be covered with various types of roofing material, but if the workmanship isn't tidy and neat and the caulking done properly, then you're going to have a problem.
Doesn't look good. First time on the roof. Well, he thought the home inspector did this, right? So what am I going to do? I'm going to come in, I'm going to do a Holmes inspection. I'm going to bring in the right people, and we're going to make it right. That simple.
So the first thing I'm going to do is pull the shingles off, which will give us an idea what the sheeting looks like.
Okay, well, that'll give us time. I'll let you guys work up there, and as soon as you guys are done, so you're not dropping stuff on our heads, we'll start tearing off everything from underneath and start looking around.
Perfect.
Okay, I'll meet you up there.
This roof has had some work done to it. Obviously, the house is much older than plywood sheeting. This is sort of the first sign. We've got some wood damage. This is right at the corner of the existing skylight, so to speak. What I'm looking at here actually is the original board sheeting underneath the plywood. So there's definitely an issue with water penetration here. You can see the rot of the wood. This is the same area where we see some bubbling of the paint and such in the inner ceiling. It's been happening for a long time. $19.28. Price, 2 cents.
this was just holding water like a bathtub. We're gonna tarp it for the rain. I have a roof off. I need to tarp it. I have a little bit of electrical in there. They ran a plug and some hot lights in there that I want to protect. We're going to keep them in there until we have the electricians back. Everything's got to be tarped off to protect the house at this point. So, Steve, I thought roofers were afraid of the rain.
It's not going to rain.
I don't see sun anywhere.
That's a good thing.
Really?
Yeah, it's not so hot.
Okay, well, what do you want to do? You want to tear this off today?
Well, what I wouldn't mind doing is opening up a section of the flat roof just to see what we're going to get into.
Okay, because you know what I'm worried about? It's a flat roof, right? We open it up, and where are we going to stop water from coming in if we can't get to it today? So that's why I'm worried about opening this roof today.
I'm a little worried about where this drain actually goes as well.
What were you saying about that drain? You think it actually ties into the stack?
Well, there's no stack visible on the roof, so I think whoever did the last roof cut the stack and then used the stack as the drain.
You're absolutely right. They cut the stack down and used... Oh, my God. That's wrong.
That's wrong.
In an older home, there's usually one air vent that extends above the roof line. This ensures that there is always air behind water when you flush the toilet, drain the sink, or tub. Okay, open up a hole and let me know what you find, because whatever you find, I have to fix, right? That's where you can roof this. Now, the first layer peeled up way too easily, but after that, it was just layer after layer of dusty old tar and gravel. What a mess. How far do you want to go with this at this point, then?
Literally, we have a day just ripping this.
But, I mean, if this is the worst part, we just have to take off 5 layers of tar and gravel?
Yeah.
I mean, that's great. I don't really want to get into structure here.
But we're also at the high point of the roof.
Right.
I think it's probably quite different over there.
Right where the makeshift drain is, you mean? Now that Steve's to task down there, he's dealing with that issue. He's going to clean up that lower roof. Before he starts on this, I just want to take a look at this chimney. And I can definitely see I have to do some flashing on the top of it. I guarantee this is leaking. Once we rip this roof off, I can actually rip the flashing off, take a better look at the base of the chimney. I'll cap the flue and just get a rain hat on it and call it a day on this one, hopefully. And I'll double check the other chimney down there because that one is in way worse shape than this one is. I thought we might see some signs of rot. A little bit of dry rot here and there, but it's going to be fine. I got the guys to pick up some half-inch plywood. We're going to resheet this roof just to give it some strength. There's a little bit of a balance in it. By resheeting over the original board, it'll actually help strengthen it a lot. I wanted to tear this whole thing off today and just get the whole thing redone, which we cannot do now. It's going to rain today. It's going to rain tomorrow. Steve and I have agreed we're going to tear off half of this roof and get it covered. We have to protect the house.
I haven't been counting the buckets, but I think it took a little more than 50. Just way too many. You know, if you count, it just drags on and on. So just get it done.
Okay, this is in way better shape than I thought. We don't actually have to worry about any structure. So now we have to deal with venting.
I think we might be doing new aluminum soffit, so we can do vented panels, and then we can put some roof vents in.
The reason we're strapping this is we want the roof to breathe. We'll get our framing in first and take out that belly. Right now you can see it. It's actually pitching that way.
Inside of the house.
Okay.
Any questions?
You mentioned when we were in the backyard, there's the 4 layers, and then they would never take them off. But at some point, you have to, don't you?
Well, there's
homeowner,
limits to the amount that you're allowed to have on the roof.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to rules, roofers are supposed to tell you there's too much up there.
Yeah.
We need to take it off.
Well, it's just surprising over 9 years or something. No roofer ever said, you know what, we've got to take some of this off.
Money seems to dictate that. The roofer will say, you know what, we should strip this, but if we just go over it, we'll save you thousands of dollars. And then, the homeowners go, you can save me money, just it's not going to cave in? Oh, no, it won't cave in. We're going to do it the right way. And now that, nowadays, like I said, you want to make sure it breathes underneath it. So I'm sure he'll explain to you what we're doing.
Yeah. I'm not a home inspector. I'm fairly handy, but I could clearly see that there was an issue.
with the existing roof. I mean, it's plain
It's
plain as
ridiculous
day.
that that wasn't caught.
Yeah.
Absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah.
Keep smiling.
We will.
I'll see you soon.
Okay, great.
Any questions, you know who to ask.
Okay.
Him, then he'll come to me.
Realized today that our boards are good, our structure is good. It was great. We vented it, sheeted it, and now Steve's got some felt paper, he's got some felt board, and that's all for fire protection. When he torches on his membrane, he's going to want a fire protection against the wood. These are old homes. You're going to have a lot of really dry wood and a lot of combustible materials that when you put a flame to, it's just going to want to go poof. Chimney's being parged right now. I have to continue with my shingles. What I wanted to do was hit the base. The actual chimney itself is in great shape. The flashing was actually helping erode the rest of the mortar in between the brick because it was allowing water to come in. The flashing was not up to par. So what we're going to do is we're going to re-parge it. I'm going to get Steve to re-flash it, and then he can do his shingles. I have to replace this beam today. So I'm going to take off all the excess.
What we've done up to this point is basically create an airspace over top of the existing roof. We're going to have open air intake at the soffits and roof vents on the roof for exhausting that air.
Have the granulated surface going on now. It went with a lighter material to not give it so much heat into the roof. Steve's guys are also tearing off all the east troughs right now, putting new on, and eventually get drop all the way around the side here. Not only is the roof better, but we've actually fixed a big problem here, which was the stack. Instead of water running to our fake drain, it's now going to be picked up by trough that's on the side of the house. Trough picks it up, brings it to the back. It does not bring it into the house and out.
This home being roughly 100 years old, ventilation wasn't really something they thought about, so it's something we sort of have to do after the fact when we're redoing these roofs. We restructured the roof to create an airspace above the old roof. It's going to act as a better thermal break in terms of the insulation's R value.
I want Steve to actually finish the roof today. We're going to get the skylights in, obviously, for him to finish that roof. And we're going to actually start cladding this whole thing.
Installing the actual shingles, the vents, we're going to flash the chimney, metal flashing on the other chimney as well, and that's basically the last few final stages on this roof.
The other thing we're doing today is we're going to pull all these boards off. We're going to take the vapor barrier off. It's on the wrong side. They have the vapor barrier on the top. Getting near the end of the job, we're actually at the front porch now, just trimming it up. We're getting it ready for painters who are coming in today. We have Steve here finishing off the roof, putting the skylights in today, getting the flashing done, getting it actually shingled today so we can actually finish that off. Well, I have the electricians here today. They're just touching things up. At this point, just making it perfect.
Homeowners here had a rain barrel before. It was positioned over there and it was made for tight access in this alleyway. So we got a new one here that actually has a flat back. It's got a diverter on this downpipe. We can either divert the water into the rain barrel or divert it out into the garden.
Well, you know that they pulled up the roof, that they actually picked up the roof line and created an air pocket underneath. That we want that air venting right underneath the whole roof. So you no longer have a drain on the roof that was actually your vent stack. The vent stack now comes up through the roof and is properly brought up.
Good news.
I'm curious to know, is everything draining properly now?
Yeah, no, it's
Seems
perfect.
to be.
Is that right? Yeah, no, it's great. We've rerouted the water the way we want it. What we did want it to do was bring it down, make it across the top of the fence, bring it down, and water your garden, not your foundation.
So then the flat roof is now sort of angled this way a little bit, so it's all kind of going into the
eavesdrops.
Oh.
Introducing the proper ventilation combined with the proper slope, we're solving a lot of other problems. We're not having the roof basically rot from the inside out. With the pitch on the roof, the proper pitch, it's going to allow the roof to drain properly, and it's going to,
Keep your basement dry.
Exactly. make a big difference there.
Had Hydro come in, put a proper clip on there, because it was the first thing I noticed that clip was hanging off, which told me somebody played with the meter. That's why they put this on. It's no good.
Any issues, let me know before we leave today, okay?
Typically, a home is surrounded by eavesdrops, and the roof is a very large area that collects quite a bit of water. And the eavesdrops basically concentrate that water into a certain zone. And having it close to the home, you can run into issues, especially with an older house. This one here needed to actually be waterproof. What we want to do is divert that concentrated water as far away from the home as possible.
We look up, all new eavesdrops and downspouts, and that's our roofing guys, done properly to make sure that we had no rain hitting this wall anymore or running water from the downspouts.
And kicking it off your wall and away from your foundation as well, just because of the waterproofing issue we had?
Damon himself got up on the roof, he did the chimney. So just took down everything that was done before, redid it, capped it again, and I'm gonna call it a renovation now. It's no longer an inspection because it just became a huge job. So actually, we'll just take you in and show you.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. Never mind these other little things. Improper corners, nothing but water penetration. We can see the brown shingles underneath the green. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of shingles. And look at the wood. Holy crap. Every time you add a new layer of shingles right over the old one, the load gets heavier and heavier on the structure. Now imagine it doesn't breathe underneath. Eventually the structure will rot. And that roof's got to be pulled apart.
Mike's giving me a big job. I have plumbing to deal with, electrical. I know I have a basement walkout to do at this point, which is pretty straightforward. My biggest issue is going to be the roof, and I think Steve's here now. I'm just going to go take a look. Stevie, good news, bud?
Not so much good news.
No?
We got multiple layers. There's 3 layers of shingles and a layer of the original cedar. 4 layers.
4 layers, codes 2.
Really, this is going to be the worst area for any type of wood rot.
Right.
The full extent of it, I don't know. Worst case scenario, resheeting this entire area.
Right.
There's some obvious leaking around the chimney, but it's really more of a maintenance thing. And then there's the lower rear flat, which needs some work. So.
And so on, and so on, and so on.
Yeah. What we have here is a not very well primed metal drip edge. Because they torched directly to the wood substrate, even though they primed it, they were probably very scarce with the amount of heat that they used on the material. So it never got a proper bonding. The problem is you get the cracking in the material, splitting of the seams. We're gonna just start from scratch, pull all this membrane off, and start right from the beginning.
It looks like we're dealing with 28-inch on center. It's the way they used to build these, right? In their day, it was just a porch.
We got a lot of rot.
Yeah.
You know, over the years.
It's just dry rot, I think,
rot.
isn't it? Yeah. Well, it's got to come out. So, Adam, look at what we're dealing with here. It's a bit of a mess.
we have here is our mechanically fastened base sheet protective board. We're installing our first ply of membrane. It's torch applied. You see Cormac heating the material with a torch, creating an adhesion between the base and the protective board which we've already installed. And then we finish that with a granulated cap sheet.
Pulling down the old siding and replacing it with some new siding and just fix it up.
Well, this is my favorite part of the job. We're tying off loose ends. We have smart screen going on right now. Just finishing it up. They had to do the lower roof here. Nice job. Finish off the downspouts. I see they've trimmed off the piece here. Now, this was just something I wanted to fix for them. It was, you can see the insul brick here. I believe it's where the old electric meter was. We fixed it up. We just patched it so no water got into the house. That's done. Nice. Phenomenal neighborhood.
On this roof here, the guys they actually pulled the roof, didn't they?
They did pull the roof. They had no choice. They pulled it and redid it for you. It was peeling off the corner. When Steve got here, he just said, I don't know what's wrong with this roof. Took the corner, peeled it off.
So it wasn't an exterior finish.
It was torch on, but they might have done it in the rain where it didn't adhere properly, a little bit of moisture under it. That's all it takes for a torch on. You get a little bit of moisture under it, it won't stick at all. So no matter how much heat they apply, it will not grab.
And we kind of recommend to make sure you put down a fire-rated board and then torch the board because that's what it's designed for. Two purposes, right? It gives it a fire rating, so when they torch it, they're not going to burn your house down accidentally. And it also it grabs it to adhere it. So it's a smart move. So look at holes. Wow, the roof's got to be replaced.
Well, we have a big day going on here today. We have the roofers tearing off the roof. They started about half an hour ago. They're almost half done.
Biggest issue with this roof is the venting. They've had turbine-style vents, power vents, regular roof vents. They're semi-closed off the vents with just aluminum panels from underneath, which really didn't do much. They've got a bathroom exhaust vent coming into this, which is completely improper way of doing it. When I've got an opening here and an opening there, this vent's really just pulling air from there. It's not pulling air from down at the eave where we need the full circulation. We're gonna fill in all of these existing openings and actually cut a ridge vent in and utilize a ridge vent system. Ridge venting is more optimal because it's right at the high point of the roof, right at the peak of the roof where that heat is going to, and it cleans up the roof line. We're gonna finish cleaning off all the existing shingles. We're gonna replace bad boards that have splits or knots. There's a couple of botched repairs on this roof. We'll check out the perimeter areas, make sure that the proper soffit venting is there, and then all our underlayment system will go in, our roofing papers, our ice and water shield, drip edge, and then it's the application of the shingles.
Martin. 11 and a half, right?
What's up, Damien?
Mike Holmes. How you doing, man?
Oh, another day, another dollar.
Yeah?
What's up?
Well, better contracting, ripping the roof off. They say they'll have this done in a day. Also, chimney. We had Marco.
I will never know, ever know. There's so many problems in this house.
Why don't you put your coats on, and I'm going to take you outside. I pulled your roof not to make it look good because I had no choice. We had holes galore, shingles missing, cracks in the roof. It was deteriorating, especially on the other side. So I have to spank you too, okay? You know why I have to spank you?
Yes.
In your report, it said to replace your roof within the first year. Did you read that? We're gonna lose.
Yeah, so Ryan started.
Water's just gonna pour out of here simply because it's the only one on this side of the house.
There's so many problems in this house.
We're utilizing what they call an architectural shingle. It's two pieces incorporated as one. In comparison to what we pulled off the roof, which is a 3-tab shingle, which has slots in the shingle, which is more vulnerable to wind-driven rains, ice damming, and such. Just a better design and a nicer look.
Walt's doing here is cutting out or opening at the ridge for the ridge vent that's being installed. It's best to have the ridge vent right at the peak of the roof because that's where your warm air, your heat loss is going to go to. The ridge vent itself will actually help draw the air out. It's going to prevent moisture in the attic, keep the roof a cool zone in the winter months, prevent ice dams. They needed a new roof.
Yeah, that's what they got.
Okay, Gary, rip her down, eh?
All right. Walk ahead to the left.
The problem with this house is long runs, eh? And everywhere they've had a pipe has been water problems. When you got runs of 75 feet, you don't want it going 75 feet and have to go around 2 corners to get to the pipe. It's okay in a little light trickle, but in a heavy downpour, the water is just not going to make it there.
It's a rainy day.
It sure is. Hey, Mike.
Mr. Bennett.
How you doing?
Good. So now that we have the rain,
We're testing it out, yeah. When I had Collins guys dig this out, the waterproofing was way below grade, and above the waterproofing was a gap, about a 3-inch gap. And the water was probably just driving right in there. So what they did is, you can see they brought it right up to where we now have finished grade.
driving in, I saw the roof.
Yeah, do you like?
Oh,
Doesn't it look good?
that is perfect.
I love the chimney too.
Let me tell
Yeah.
you, like that's the way it should be done. What a
It
professional
looks
finish.
great, eh?
We have the ridge vents,
Yep.
everything. Oh, designer shingles.
Look at
days.
You think this is a sealed house now?
Looks really good.
And Rob did put smart screen around the whole house.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he did a great job.
Ah, look at this. That's what I want to see.
The eaves troughs have got numerous problems. Every corner is leaking. Most of the trough has lost a lot of its slope. It's full of ice and debris. So it's really aged and weathered and broken down the eaves trough sort of prematurely. This is the screen product we pulled out of the trough, the existing trough. It's very flexible, doesn't really withstand the weight of the debris or the snow and ice. And under the weight, the screen will actually collapse, which will cause that weight to be sort of trapped in the eaves, prematurely wearing out the eaves themselves. Relatively cheap product, but we're going to end up having to throw it out. So we'll be changing to new 5-inch seamless eaves trough. And the product we're going to replace this screen with today is a product called Smart Screen. And what it is an aluminum product that we actually continually fasten both on the outside edge to the eaves trough and through the back to the fascia board. Being aluminum, it's much stiffer, much sturdier in terms of keeping the weight of the snow and the ice and the debris out of the eaves. It's a smooth, non-abrasive finish, so the wind is basically taking care of any maintenance of keeping debris off or out of the gutters. Because it's fastened both at the front and the rear, it's a continual support for the eaves trough, which is going to add a lot of strength and a lot more life to the new eaves.
How long are you going to take today?
We're on the home stretch. It's just a little bit in the side, balance in the front, and then we're going to put on the smart screen.
The smart screen, this is going to help with snow,
leaves,
ice buildup, and especially leaves.
Yeah.
Now, smart screen is an understatement here. I like the way you've recessed it. You're just going to screw it in on the front and on the back. And what that's going to do, not only stop the leaves from coming in, but ice buildup.
Snow and ice, it'll make it where it can withstand at least 40 pounds of weight per linear foot.
I like this.
And the other best thing about this is it's invisible.
Well, did you see the crap we pulled out of the other eaves troughs? If that's not an example on why you should do this, I don't know what is.
Full of pine needles. That's why these screens don't work. The cure is worse than the disease because now you got to remove the screens to clean the gutters. called Smart Screen because it keeps the leaves out as well as snow and ice. It has a non-abrasive finish with a half lip on the front, so all the debris will blow off of it very easily. We screw it in the front and back, which makes the eaves trough about 5 times stronger. And you do it once and you solve 2 problems, snow and ice and leaves. And that's why it's called Smart Screen.
All done?
All done.
Thank you. I think she's going to like this. She doesn't know, so it's a surprise.
We're glad to help out.
Looks good.